Welcome to Two Hags Chin Wag. I'm Susie.
And I'm Trish.
And today we're going to talk about our favorite thing, which is plants and herbs and springtime and growing. And just so excited to maybe have some nice weather this weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully we will. Hold on. I'm trying to find a good spot for my microphone because, yeah. It's a little flaccid.
See what we can do to lift that up.
Also, I'm hot.
There we go. Applause. Yeah. I have the wood stove on because it's just, I still feel the damp chill in the air.
Yeah.
So get some green things poking up. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of things are finally starting to say it's springtime, even though weather-wise, not necessarily. I wanted to start off with a question to you as to what makes a witchy garden a witchy garden.
Ooh.
What makes it different from somebody else's garden?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. For me, it really starts with intention. A lot of people, like, I look at their gardens and they're so beautiful, and they've got a nice mix of flowers and greenery, and for me it's just about what I feel connected with, what I want to work with, and it's also a connection for me with the spirits of place, with the fairies and things like that. So I think that's just it for me, is just that connection more so than the aesthetic of how it looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you like, if you see somebody who has no spiritual inclination, but they can have a beautiful garden, and but you feel it. You know what I mean? You feel that sort of emptiness that's not there. I feel it's beautiful to look at, and a lot of work and effort went into it, but they're still missing something. Like, what is it missing? And then I think about, okay, well, there's, especially like Catholics in particular, so like a Catholic Christian garden, how is it different from a witchy garden? Because they'll have like spiritual statues, like Mother Mary and Saint Francis, and they'll have grottos. They'll have sacred spaces. So what is it that is different, their gardens compared to a witchy garden? I was just thinking about that today. Because they also will have gardens to connect with God, like, so they have a connection to divinity, and so yeah, I was just thinking about that today. It was like, what is it that makes a witchy garden a witchy garden? Because at first I was thinking, is it the connection to the divine? Is it, but not necessarily, because other religions have their connections to the divine through gardening too. And like you said, the difference is the land spirits and the intention behind a witchy garden. So when you have your garden in your yard, and when you say the intention, like, what is your intention in your garden?
It's almost like it's a dual purpose. So there's an offering, right? There's that connection to the fairies and to the elementals. So it's giving to them, but it's also a place of healing. So the first thing I do when I come home from work is I go outside and I check on everything. And I think I've mentioned this before, maybe last spring when we talked about it. It's just a greeting and an acknowledgement, and I just love to see the development, what's coming up, and it's just for me, a connection to the earth, and a connection to the fae, and a connection to the divine. But also when you talk about purposes people have for their garden, people have memorial gardens as well, right? Like my
Yeah.
sister has a special tree to her late husband, and some of his ashes are there. And every time she looks at that tree, she thinks about him, and it's a way of keeping a piece of him with her all of the time. And people may not be purposefully witchy, but there's always, I think, a connection when we grow something and when we nurture something.
Yeah.
It's really a giving and receiving, isn't it? When you have a garden or any kind of sacred space, I think that you're setting out your intentions to the universe, and it keeps that flow going, right? That connection, that eternal, infinity of abundance and veneration.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I was just looking at my notes while you were saying that, because when I was thinking about it today, like what sets it apart from other gardens, um, and you had mentioned intention, which is what I said, like the intention that we put into it. Like this is either a memorial garden, but for witches it may mean something different than to somebody else what a memorial garden is. To us it might be more ancestral workings. And the other thing was, if you say you move into a house and it already has a garden, how do you make that a witchy garden? Well, you just put the intention that it is. You just declare that it is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything, really elaborate.
Yeah.
It's your energy, and just putting your hands into the earth, just walking barefoot on the earth is connection too, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I remember, oh, this was many years ago, when Prince Charles, before he was king, obviously, um, he would talk to his plants, and everyone thought that was hilarious. My mother never thought that was hilarious because she did the same thing. And she was just really excited that, this was being publicly acknowledged and talked about, was that you can talk to your plants. And do they talk back? Well, in their own language.
Yeah.
Sure. If you think they do, like,
Yeah.
I talk to my cats, sure, they talk back in their own way.
Yeah.
So, it's acknowledging that there's energy to something, and that you can give and you can receive. To me, that's just what life is about.
Actually, that reminded me. I don't know if I told this story. I don't think I did, but that reminded me. This winter, I was having problems with my ears, like they were just constantly plugged, and it was really, really irritating. And anyway, I tried everything. I gave up and I made a doctor's appointment, but it takes 6 weeks for me to see my doctor. So in the meantime, I was in the shower one night, and my ears were really bothering me. And all of a sudden, I just had this thought about violet flowers and violet leaf, and it quickly, like, I wasn't thinking about my ears so much or what I could take for my ears. I was just showering, and this image of a violet flower and a violet leaf came into my mind, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Well, I guess it's coming up on spring, and maybe that's why my brain thought about it. And then I just forgot about it, got out of the shower and quickly forgot about that whole experience. And then I was working on my grimoire, and in my herbal section, it was because I love looking at that. That's my favorite section of my grimoire, because it's just pretty. And I was just flipping through it, and I saw the violet leaf, and I was like, oh. So I just stopped and I read about it, and right in my own notes that I wrote, it says helps with like problems with the ears, like clogged ears or whatever. Now, I wrote this last year. Was it something deep down inside of me that remembered, or was it the violet leaf, the violet plant talking to me? I really feel like it was the violet plant talking to me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just, when I took my herbal classes, she was a strong believer in plants communicating with us. They communicate with each other. Mm-hmm. They can communicate. They communicate with animals. Mm-hmm. So they can communicate with humans. We're just so closed off that we don't realize it, you know?
Well, how did we get the knowledge in the first place?
Yeah.
There must have been communication on some level, right? Not just trial and error. Yeah. Here, drink this. You're either going to get sick or it's going to make you feel better, or you die. So yeah. I think that there was probably people who were able to communicate and get the knowledge.
I think so, because like I saw something somewhere. It was how the flower communicates to the bee. So it emits this. The flower emits this. I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's even a scent. I think it's more a vibration to attract the bee to it. So it's not necessarily a scent. It doesn't just release pollen. It's on a vibration level. And I think I might be mixing some things up, but I think they were able to photograph what that energy looked like. So it was like sort of sparks coming from, I don't know what they are, the stamens or whatever it was, like, yeah. And then the bee would come. So there's communication there. And I think that's what separates a witchy gardener from other gardeners, is that we're very open to that concept. We're open to the idea that that's possible, and hopefully that, that experience, having that experience. Yeah. But what else can you do to make it more witchy?
Well, I like to add some crystals and stones. I like to put those out around. I don't tend to like burn sacred smoke or anything outside, because outside is already, kind of a purified space anyway. But sometimes I like to take my drum out, especially early in the spring, to encourage the plants and to give them that vibration, because I believe in vibration. There's so much we don't see with the human eye, but it's there. So I like to drum to my plants as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they respond to music, right? Like house plants, they respond to music. It helps you connect to it more, right? And I think when you're creating one, a witchy garden, I think like doing a little ritual, like preparing the soil in a sacred way, and doing some sort of ritual over the soil. And that could be, just drumming or meditating or blessing it. And I think that's really an easy way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can use moon water.
Yeah, I actually have that written down. Like, you can use moon water to garden, to water your plants. A witch gardener, I think, has such a strong connection to plant life, to Mother Earth. And I think that's one of the biggest difference between witchy gardens and non-witchy gardens, is that we're connected to the divine feminine. And, even somebody who's not spiritual, an atheist, will say Mother Earth, right? There's this sort of
Mother Nature, like Mother Nature, part of our vernacular.
Yeah, it's like that. There's some sort of deep, ancient knowing that the Earth is like a feminine energy, and I think that's what makes witches a witchy gardener. different because we acknowledge that.
When I think about the kinds of people I think of as gardeners are usually women. But my Jamie, he works at a golf course in the summer season, and so he's tending the gardens and growing the flowers, and he gets really upset when they want to mow over a garden bed, like they want more green space or they want to put something else there. It really hurts his heart, and he will try to dig those up and bring them home. Like it just really super bothers him.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons he gets so many compliments from the members on his gardens is because of his intention and because of his stewardship and his connection.
Yeah.
So he doesn't align himself with any one philosophy or but to me he's almost like a druid. Like he's so tied to the land and growing things. And he's the one at Canadian Tire at the end of the season buying all the nearly dead plants.
Yeah.
And bring them up. I mean, this place is just full of plants at the end of the summer. It's craziness. Oh, we have to bring those in, it's getting cold. And the place, as you know, is just full of plants because he just can't bear to see any.
Yeah.
To him, like they're almost sentient beings, right? Even though he doesn't talk about it or it's just not something he advertises, but I can tell the way that he nurtures plants and all the compliments that he gets from the golf course, that people really appreciate his work. And they're always saying, oh, Jamie, do you want to come to my house and, look after my gardens or do some landscaping? I'd love to. I just don't have the time. Like he could be working for all these rich people, but that doesn't mean anything to him.
Yeah.
What means something is, making this little space at the golf course that they've given him, or making our space here. You saw him outside today, putting out his plants and stuff. So to me, not everyone acknowledges their sort of witchy connection, but I think a lot of people, it's the way we talk about spirituality anyway, a lot of people are spiritual. They just don't have the exposure to it or the education or whatever.
It's and when they say read about it or something, it's like this, something, a switch goes off in them. It's like, oh, I've always been a witch because I've always loved to garden, or I've always felt a connection to the land, or you know what I mean, but they just didn't know it. And I'm not saying that's everybody. Some people are just dead set against it.
Yeah, so, sure. That's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. Another part of a witchy garden is the soil itself, because the soil is so ancient. Like soil is thousands, hundreds of thousands to even millions of years old. I mean, a lot of soil that we see now is thousands of years old. But when I think about the soil, when I'm in my garden and I'm digging in the soil, I hardly ever wear gloves, which is, a lot of people are like, oh my God, you shouldn't do that. But I hate wearing gloves. Do you wear gloves?
I try not to, but sometimes I do, because there's thorns and stuff.
Yeah, if there's thorns. Baby. Yeah, if there's thorns, I wear gloves. But otherwise, I don't know. I
love my hands in the dirt.
Yeah, I want to feel that dirt. And when I do, I think like, the people that lived on this property before, because our house is like over 120 years old, like there's ancestral knowledge in this soil that I'm working in. And, their DNA is in the soil, and beyond them, beyond the people who owned that property before, it could have been native people walking that land, and their knowledge. And so I'm putting my hands in this soil that has such an ancestral connection, and their DNA's in there, and the bones and blood of animals and humans is in soil, and I just feel like there's so much power in that. And then when you when you make that connection, you can't help but boost that power. Because as soon as you acknowledge that's the fact of the soil, that's what soil is, then it's almost like you awaken the soil. So then you can work with that awakened soil spiritually, to put the intention in that whatever you grow in it is going to be beautiful. If you're growing flowers, I have a flower garden, I have flower gardens, herb gardens, woodland gardens, a vegetable garden, and I have my little witchy garden. so so each garden has its own sort of purpose and intention, but when I'm in the soil and I'm working with it and I awaken that ancestral knowledge, I just ask for the blessing of that, in the soil, and say, can you please help my garden grow? Can you put your knowledge in the plants that I'm going to eat so that somehow I infuse that in me? I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but this is what I'm thinking when I'm gardening.
You have a lot of deep thought. And I love it. Well, I think about this plant over here came from my mom's house, right?
Yeah.
And I have, refreshed the soil. But I think about the soil that's in there was that my mom had that.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like a part of her essence, because she loved plants so much and she did talk to them. That part of her is like her hands were in that soil.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I refreshed it, I didn't want to dump out all of the soil. I wanted to keep some of it. So thanks for saying that, because that kind of triggered that for me. And when I took some plants, well, Dad wanted me to take some plants from the property when he was still there to bring here. And so some of that dirt is mixed in now in my property with my dirt, so that I have, a part of,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting verklempt. Because it's that connection that carries on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it continues.
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, wow, that's like, to me, I just looked over at that plant. I was like, wow, that's Mrs. Martell.
Yeah. That was at the bottom of the stairs by the door.
Okay. I don't remember it, but
no. But there's a ribbon tied on it, and Mom had tied that ribbon. I don't know why. Mom was always like decorating her plants that way, and I will never take that ribbon off.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty sad looking by now.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you can do some little magic with that. Like you could take a little vial of that dirt, or even to wear like as a protection charm, because that she touched it. Her DNA is definitely in there.
I love that. And I wanted to say, because I have a big yard and you have a big property, I wanted to say for the people who don't have access to that, live in apartments or potted plants will do it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's working with soil, it's working with plants.
Yeah.
Put them in a windowsill, give them moonlight, give them sunlight.
Yeah. The one thing I wrote about houseplants, companion planting when you do a vegetable garden is a big thing right now. This plant helps keep pests away from this plant, so plant them together like garlic and tomatoes and that kind of thing. But the one thing that I've always done before I had an outdoor garden was my indoor plants. I always planted more than one plant inside of a pot, because I always felt I always had this intuition that the plants felt isolated.
Yeah.
So I always grow like one or two plants inside of a pot, and I'll tell you that it makes such a difference. It's like they need each other, and maybe scientifically there's a reason for that. Like maybe the different size roots aerates the soil. I have no idea what's going on. But my witchy side feels the energy of companionship. inside this one little pot that I have two little plants in. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a good analogy for you and I because, we had a shared childhood together, and, we're very different people, but I think we share a lot of roots.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we aerate each other's soil.
Yes, exactly.
That almost sounds dirty, but anyway. No, I think a lot of it is just being in tune with the spiritual side of growing your plants, your house plants, your garden. I think that's what sets a witchy garden aside, is that spiritual connection. Oh, the other thing is, like setting up a witchy garden is having an awareness of the elementals. Like the sun is fire, the water is water, the air is all wind, but like just working with the spiritual elementals, not just the physical elements of it, and also the direction, like because when you call in a circle, a sacred circle, you call in the directions. So the positioning of your plants, like where my garden is facing. I mean, southwest is usually best for sunlight, but my vegetable garden is actually like mostly northeast. So it's completely backwards in the sense of sun direction. But the reason why I put it there was because when we moved in there, this area was completely overrun with oregano and raspberry bushes, and it was just a mess. But I knew at one point in the history of this old house that somebody put an intentional garden there, and I wanted to honor the ancestors of the house. So I put my vegetable garden there, and sometimes I'm like, why did I do that? Because one of the beds doesn't get that much sun. so I plant like greens in there because they don't need a lot of sun. But it was more important to me to sort of connect with that ancestral energy of the house and put my vegetable garden there. So, there's that aspect of it too, to make it more witchy. And the shape of it, like some people do spiral herbal gardens. I do want to do that someday. And I also want to do like a moon-shaped garden. I want to have a nighttime garden with like white flowers and the ones that release scent at night. So that's going to be in a moon-shaped garden. So all that, it's all that intention behind it.
Yeah, that's lovely. One of my intentions for this year is to spend more time out in my garden at night. Because I am such an early to bed person. It's really sad. So I'm gearing myself up now to, okay, you have to go out there in the evenings. I find the evening air is just so, I don't know, like it's just beautiful to me.
Me too. Yeah.
I just love there's a quietness about the evenings. And I did have a moonflower at one time in my garden, but I don't think I saw it for the last couple of years, but those are, connected to the moon. So I think that's a good intention to have, is to work in the moonlight and just, feel that energy, because I think the sun gets a lot of love. The sun gets a lot of worship, but the nighttime, it's pretty special.
Yeah, I love night gardens. I love them so much because the flowers, they open up at nighttime, and they're the most scented flowers, are the nighttime flowers. So you get this beautiful scent, and like you said, there's just something about the air and the atmosphere, and sitting in your garden during the evening I think it thins the veil, and it just feels so magical to me. And speaking of the moon, you can also garden by the moon, by the moon phases.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if it's a waxing moon, then you plant your above ground plants, and it's the same for harvesting. And then if it's a waning moon, you plant your root vegetables and your bulbs, anything that's below the ground.
And that's science,
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I know we've talked about this before, but there's such a connection in my mind with science and witchcraft.
yeah.
Like they're hand in hand. They
Mm-hmm.
work together.
Yeah.
Like you can look that up, like the Farmer's Almanac, or
Yes.
I have a bunch of books here in front of me. I was just reviewing some of them before you came over, just to remind myself, because I get so complacent in the wintertime. And I did not, I have to confess, I did not do any seeds this year. Lazy. Last year I did a lot of seeds because I was taking my herbal
Right.
class, and
Yes.
you were encouraged by everybody in your class. But how are your seeds doing?
Great. Yeah, I always plant them way too early, and so now my tomatoes are like this high, still in the basement because it's too cold to put them out. So yeah, I thought I had learned my lesson, but apparently not.
You just get so excited to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I did wait later than the year before. Like the year before, but it's still too early. I need to remember, like, you need to wait even longer. But that's part of being a witchy gardener too. Is not, you don't have to start your seeds inside, or start from seed. I do it because it saves money. Because it's so expensive to garden. so
Absolutely.
so, but I also love the process. Like, to me, it's just miraculous.
Yeah.
You
It's so
know,
exciting to watch them come
yeah.
up. And
It's like all this tiny, teeny tiny seed, like carrot seeds, blow my mind. It's like these seeds that are like dust, and then you plant them and you get this massive carrot out of it. Like, to me, it's completely miraculous. And so to start from seed, for me, is very magical, and I'll put magical intention in it when I'm starting it. Like, I think we talked about it, but during Imbolc or Imbolc, that's a good time to bless your seeds that you're going to start for your upcoming gardening year. But you can also go out to your garden and ask for Bridget's blessing on your soil. I think seed starting is very magical, but not everybody has a space or setup for that.
That's true. Yeah, like I bought a whole bunch of lighting and stuff last year, and yeah, I was whole hog into it. And then this winter, I don't know. It was a very long,
Ugh,
cold.
ugh. It was a horrible winter.
And so now it's like usually the May long weekend, which we're coming into,
Yeah,
is the time when people, they open up their cottages,
yeah,
and, people start planning, for their gardens in their summer and all that stuff.
yeah.
But it's still, obviously, the ground is not warm enough to plant anything. But I'm going to plant my potatoes pretty soon.
I planted mine already.
Did you?
Yeah.
I just said to Jamie, I said, I got to plant my potatoes.
Yeah.
Well, my garlic, obviously, I planted in October, so,
Yeah.
that's coming up. But
yeah,
I'm getting my, oh, there goes Vinny. I'm getting my, my potato gardens ready.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I planted mine last week, I think it was.
Now, what did you use? Because we tried the hamper, and that didn't work for either of us.
No, I planted them in the ground. Oh, and here's another witchy thing that I did, because the year before I planted them, or 2 years before I planted them in the ground, and I had probably a mole or a vole or some rodent come and take one bite out of each of the potatoes. So I couldn't eat them. Like, I would pull out the bunches of potato and there'd be this teeny tiny bite out of it. So I got mad. And so the last year I was like, okay, I'm going to plant them in the hamper, And yeah, there was no rodent damage or any of that, but yeah, they just didn't do
Last
well.
year, I don't think anyone's potatoes did well.
Yeah,
Last year it was like a really
well, it was
bad,
the drought,
yeah, it was a bad time for.
So yeah, so that was. I mean, we had 2 years of drought. I'm hoping that we don't have drought again this summer. But yeah, when I planted my potatoes this year, I put the intention in the soil. It's like, please don't let any mice or rodent eat my potatoes because,
But you know what? You can keep pests away with magical workings.
yeah.
I 100% believe that. So, I do this thing where I'm driving down a highway or a country road or whatever, and I'm worried about critters jumping out, and I just envision like a barrier, and I just say, keep away, keep away, keep away
Mm-hmm.
from the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because one time I ran over a rabbit, and I could barely see to drive. I was crying so hard for like I don't know how many miles of just bawling my eyes out
Yeah.
because it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I just keep them away. So in my yard, I kind of do the same thing. I say, I bless your passing, pass through.
Yeah.
Well, snakes mostly. I say you may pass through my yard unseen. Do not reveal yourself to me. It would be best.
Yeah.
Best for both of us.
Oh God, I love when I see a snake.
Yeah,
I get so excited.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of more ruthless. I'm calling in on the birds of prey. It's like, please eat all the mice in my yard. That's the dark witchy's gardening.
I love it.
You start from seeds and then you plant it, and you're just continually putting your magic into it.
Yeah.
You're continually blessing it and nurturing it and connecting to the divine. When, like I said, when I see a seed sprout in my, set up in the basement, I'm like, God, it's amazing. Like,
But you grew a baby inside you,
I know.
right? Like that's pretty miraculous and amazing.
I guess so. No, I don't know why it feels so. It is miraculous. It is when you really think of it, but I guess I don't think of it on a regular basis. Do you know what I mean? But when I really sit and think about it, it's like, wow. When I see pictures of babies in the womb, it starts with these cells and turns into a human. It's crazy, miraculous. But it's not something I think about, especially at 60. I think about my baby plants more. But when you have that feeling, you're infusing that magic and awe back into the plant,
Yeah.
Harvesting time is another time for that witchy side to come out. Like, when you harvest something, you thank it, right? Like, and thanking the divine for even making it possible that this happens, like how does this even happen? So there's that gratitude, I think, that has to be there when you're at the harvesting stage of your garden.
Yeah, and then whether you're ingesting, the foods and the herbs, or whether you're giving them to someone with intention, like you make a tea blend or a tincture or whatever, there's that part of it as well. And, I think you said earlier, it just makes it more powerful when you ingest something that you've put your energy into.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of organic farming, I guess, is to make things better aligned with our bodies.
Preserving, you can put, magical intention in your preserving, when you hang your herbs for
I love hanging herbs.
Yeah, for medicine, or if you're doing tinctures like you mentioned, or even for me, like if I'm doing canning, to me it's just this beautiful circle, that you started from seed, and now you're you're doing canning and you're carrying that energy into the winter, hopefully. The herbs can be used for medicines, but they can be used like my witchy garden that I have. I separated it from my herbal garden because it's more plants for magic than it is for medicines, even though a lot of times they do both, right? Or everything does both. But yeah, so I have that little garden that is for spells. And then you could have a like a poison garden.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Because I'm just really fascinated by that. And you know what I love is these stories of, you know, the poison rings that, you know, women back in the medieval ages, you know, they had their little poison ring. So if you were an arsehole husband, there's no poison in your Here's a cup of tea, dear, or whatever. And I just love that because, you know, what else could we do? You know, if we were in a horrible marriage, there was no way out. A little bit of poison there, dearie. I love it.
Yeah. And also, I don't think, you know, women necessarily enjoy gore, like, so they're not going to stab their husbands or slit their throat.
Well, yeah, that's traditionally poisoning was a woman's weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see why.
And they still suffer, so you still get the glee of that, right? But anyway, so your poison, you would like to have a poison garden.
Yeah, I'd like to have one.
What would you think, like for baneful magic or?
Yeah, I think so. Protection magic, baneful. I just dug out a garden that's a flower garden that I just, that's the intention of it. But I just planted a whole row of my foxgloves that I was growing from seed in the basement.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, foxglove are part of the poison path, right? Like they're very poisonous plants. So that got me thinking. I was like, ooh, I should do a poison garden.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes for me, just having something, almost like a placebo effect, right? Like just having it nearby, knowing that I could use it, don't necessarily have to use it, but knowing that it's there kind of bolsters my my aura too, right?
Yeah.
That, you know what, I can poison you if I want to. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Yeah, I think that's true. Just knowing that it's there. Like, say the apocalypse happens and there's zombies after you or something. Maybe you need to poison them.
Oh.
I was waiting for the reaction.
I think that's a spike to the head, but you never know.
I don't know.
Because
maybe you have to dip it in foxglove juice or something. I don't know.
That'd be a good movie. I like that now. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's like your evil mind. I don't know if you can see, but Trish has a purring kitty on her lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a lover.
Yeah.
Orange kitties are like that.
He's a good boy.
He is. He's an old, senile, half-deaf boy who likes to scream at mommy in the middle of the night. I am looking forward to going to your property and seeing the results of all your hard work.
Yeah. I feel like you can't even tell all the hard work that I've put in there for the last 3 years, because it's just been digging out invasive species. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the beauty behind it yet. Still,
I like a wild feral property anyway.
Yes, I do too, in a sense. But this was beyond wild and feral. This was in, like, I was actually wrote here in the notes, like, for me, one of my intentions is to release the strangulation that my property is feeling right now. Because when I walk through my woods, I can feel like somebody's choking Mother Earth because of all the invasives. Like I got rid of a lot of the invasives in the front of the yard. That was the goutweed. I got rid of that, most of it, not all of it. but enough that I feel like now, I can put diversity in there because diversity is so important. But the goatweed just killed all the diversity in the front yard. So that's what I've been spending years doing, is trying to get rid of that that plant. Yeah. I kept some of it because it is beneficial, and now I can stay on top of it so that it doesn't become, out of hand. But then when I walk through my woods, the multiflora is choking things, is killing trees. Yeah. It's killing the diversity in the woods. So I've been spending 3 years doing that too, trying to keep that under control. Right now, do you remember I have a little stream in the woods there? It's not flowing because there's so much multiflora in the stream. The water can't flow.
Wow.
So I spent one afternoon knee deep in mud and water, and I started like pulling out the multiflora, which is very thorny and very hard to deal with, and very deep roots. So I'm shoveling in the water and the mud, and just the little bit that I took out, there's probably this much. Now the water is streaming, but I have like a huge area to clear out so that the land so that her blood can flow. That's what it feels like. It feels like a clogged artery. And in the actual woods, it's just killing the diversity in there. So I just keep chopping at it every year and keeping it so that it doesn't choke the trees. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
God love you.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Well, I look forward to our next podcast coming to your place, and maybe we can go outside and wander around.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't sure if I should do a little like show and tells on that, or if you wanted show and tell, or did you want to come out and
both?
Okay.
I think it's important that people feel encouraged and feel empowered, whether you have, a balcony in an apartment building or you have your own property, is not to be intimidated by what do I need to do, and does it need to look like this or look like that. And if it looks like a showpiece, great.
Yeah.
Like, invite me over. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
My house will never look like that. So
Susie's aesthetic is wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just let it grow. That's my philosophy. Throw some things in it, let it grow.
Yeah.
But it makes me happy, and that's all that matters, is that each of us, do what our heart calls us to do.
Yeah, and what the land is telling you to do. Yeah. I know that my land is telling me, help me. Help me breathe, help me flow, help the energy flow. I knew that when I first moved in. I felt that. I felt like a cry from the earth. And I was like, oh God, this is going to be.
I think it chooses us. Like, I know this property chose me. The second I walked through that door, I felt it. I felt it, just this feeling flood over me. And I know you felt the same way. So your land gives back to you what you put in. Yeah. Like, it's a symbiotic relationship, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, and I think too the work that I put in also not only physically helps the earth, but I think spiritually helps the earth. So I feel like it's allowing the land spirits to breathe too, and to know that I'm a safe person to be around if they want to, right? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm in there trying to do better, trying to do good. And I think spiritually, the land spirits, the fae folk, whatever, I think it awakens that too.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right.
So thanks for being with us. And as always, if you have any compliments, of course we like compliments.
Send some compliments.
Shameless, aren't I? Drop us a comment. Let us know. We'd love to see pictures if you want to share pictures as well of what you're growing. So, and ask the expert here any questions.
I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.
Bye.